So this is a continuation of the previous video. If you want to understand how we got to this part, you need to watch our previous video. So on line 25, we are creating a path that whenever we go to API system info, it returns the information of the system. And of course, it's always an asynchronous function. And then we want to get system info as a dictionary of either string or any other data type. And we're using exception handling here to get either using the PST util that we installed and the PST util package to get the CPU percentage, to get the CPU count, the frequency of the CPU, your memory, and your disk, and your network, and you want to just return a couple of things about your system that talks about your operating system, the version, your host name, your processor, and probably the Python version you are running on your machine, and some things that have to do with CPU and memory. Discover you need to observe that this is now looking like, oh, we are returning um, a dictionary like and almost a JSON kind of object at the end of the day. So if you want to understand most of these things, follow our Python series online. Then if not, we want to just return an error after our exception handling is done. And this particular route is going to check for API health at the end of the day. So we use .env, but then for security reasons, at times there are sensitive information you should have in your environment variable that whenever you are deploying to your general scope, you should be, or your production, I mean, you should be able to add them as environment variable. Never ship with environment variables like database, API keys, some sensitive information. I could even move this port all the way into my .env, but I don't want the video to be unnecessarily long. I have a video on .env, so you can watch that and understand what we are doing. So we're just writing all of this flat for now. And again, there is something I want to point out. In a production system, you need to put a whole lot of things in place when it comes to API. You need to think about the rate limiting, how secure it is, and all of these guys. So, but then we are just catching fun here, so we can just move. This can be forgiven. So the next thing we want to do, we want to run our Flask app and check it in browser. Are we actually seeing the things we want to see on our API calls? So this is saying we want to import UVCon and use UVCon to run our app so our server can be awake and attentive. So let's quickly do this. And I want to do main.py. So my backend will get running and it's saying we have a problem. We must pass the application as an import string to enable reload workers. So let's just see where we are making and the mistake from. So I think we should be running it with UVCon since we don't have a central file where we are running our servers for now. So UVCon from the main file, I want to run the app. And the app in this case is actually the FastAPI app that we have on line 9. So if I run this should start our server for us. Perfect. So it says we are running on 127.0.0.1.8000. Let's get close to it and see where our API is running. .0.0.1 ports 8000. So you can see, yes, we have this saying system monitor is running. So if I want to go to the endpoints, we have few endpoints. There is this endpoint that talks about the slash API slash health. Let me try it out. Slash API slash health. So these are the calls that we are going to be making from the front end. And you can see it's saying it's healthy and the timestamp is this. Perfect. So we can still check one more. We have a API system info. So slash API slash system dash info. So yes, this went directly into our system and returned the operating system saying I'm running. Let me do a pretty print. Says I'm running an OS window, the build version, my host name, and all of these guys. The total number of available memories. You can see. Imagine somebody hacking into your system and having access to all of this. That's a story for another day. So basically, we can just automate a script that does all of this thing for us. I will just did that. Our API is alive. If you want to know how alive your API is, Fast API has a Swagger kind of interface. Very, very interesting. I think is in slash docs. Yes, it should come up by default. So it's saying system monitor API. And this system monitor API is not coming from anywhere but here line 9 where we have the title. So and it's saying system monitor API, we have three endpoints. We have the root, we have the system info, and we have the health, all running a get method. Execute this. I can see it's saying healthy. You can see from here, I already have a documentation. And if you wish to have um, see how the payloads are being arranged. You can hold, I think, redoc or redux. Let me try this. Okay, perfect. So this works. You can have this as a slash redoc. I'll set it up eventually later. So, but what I'm saying in essence is that just by using Fast API, we have a whole API interface for in our presence where we can test our API calls. We don't have to use Postman or Thunderstorm or some other API panel. So I'll go to the back end. Back end is working, pulling data from the system. So let's quickly go to the front end because we need to finish it up in this video. So back end is good. The server is running. We can see the response 200 okay, 404 not found, as the case may be. So since our server is running, I'll leave it there. I'll open another terminal. Um, go to terminal, go to new terminal. We want to cd to front end so that we're in front end, and I'll pause this and quickly set up the front end and explain the code. So before we write our front end code, I want you to know that we will spend most of our time in this app.jsx. App.jsx is a component that is loaded into the main.jsx, and the main.jsx is injected into index.html at time of access. That is an SPA. Our package, like we said in the last video, shows us packages that we are going to use. So we are going to work more on app.js. So I'm going to clean this up. Um, this whole code, I do not need it, and set it up. So I've cleared out the existing code in my app.js, and I'm doing a state, importing my use state and use effect for state management and for my hook. And I am importing some icons that I want to use the CPU, memory stick, and all of these guys, all from Lucid React I have installed during installation. Let me show you that. I think we should have a Lucid React. Okay, we don't have it installed yet. So let's do an npm ilucide React. If not, we are going to have our work break. So let's pause and come back when it's done. To wait for it to install, let's continue explaining the code. And I have a couple of objects here. I named it color map to hold all my objects. I have the blue color set. I could do all of these things from the CSS, but I just want to make you have a first-hand experience of what objects are looking like in JavaScript. My yellow, my purple, indigo, and pink. Then I have my info card, and it's taking props, the icon as props, the title, the children, and the color by default as props. And I am returning this. Then my progress bar as well. And this is where my main app is. This is guy that is going to be exported as a named export at the end of the day. I have all my state management here. My state system info, get and set it, loading, set loading, error, set error. I think we have an introductory video on React. You can always watch that. Then I'm using an async function which is an arrow function here. I am trying to get using fetch. I'm not using Axios, I'm using fetch. And in a normal working system, I will create my API calls file. I will separate the API calls from the um, structure, from the states, and all of these things. But then this is just a fun project, so I could just have them all in a single place. But in the real life, separate your API so that when APIs break, you know where it's breaking from. When the calls are not coming, you know what it is. So if the response is not okay, if you're not seeing 200, you throw an error. If not, you fetch a data. We take a response, convert it to a JSON, and we fetch a data. Whenever you are using an async function, you are definitely going to be using await to cache the data. And we are setting the system info and all of these things. And you know, basically at this point, we are just showing if the system is loading and not system info, we want to show a loading. We are still loading. If not, we want to go ahead and load all the information we have at the end of the day. So I will make this code available. You can always pull it from GitHub and run it and see what you have. We're exporting this as app. This is hitting our main, and we should have it in our front end. If we have npm run dev, let's see what we have in npm run dev. Localhost 5173, um, ba, 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 localhost 5173. Yes, so it's saying doc type not this. Let me refresh this. So let's fix this and quickly pause this and quickly fix this issue that is coming up. So the problem was from my vite config .js. Um, I forgot to set a couple of attributes for the server and a proxy saying this will come from a slash API and the target, and that's what actually happened. But then running this, my server is started here for this guy. My front end is up and saying 200. Okay, and if I go to my browser, you can see what I have in real time. Interesting. I see a system monitor in real time. I'm seeing my systems. I'm seeing my host name, my CPU usage, my memory usage, my date and time, my network. You can see, and this guy is updating in real time. You can see the state management. This is his 5.3%. Let's just wait as my memory usage is going, my CPU is responding. So, this is just a cool and a fun project for you to get used to React JS. So I will upload this code at the end of the day to GitHub. You can always pull it from GitHub, do a collaboration, do fun stuff with it. But remember to leave me a star on GitHub. Remember to follow me on YouTube. Click on notification videos. This video is going to be on YouTube. You can get it at any time. The materials will be on GitHub. You can get it at any time. So you can learn hands-on on what web development is and keep developing yourself. So I just have one word of advice. The best way you can get to know these things is by doing these things at the end of the day. So my back end, this is the structure. My front end, this is the structure. In reality, your back end might be sitting on another server somewhere, either railway or some other Google GCP, DigitalOcean, and you have your front end either in Netlify and all of these things. These are all some level of setup. So, but don't forget, important files should always go, important details should go into .env. So now we have our back end running, serving our API, our front end, pulling our API, and we are good to go. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up on YouTube, give me a star on GitHub, and reach out to me if you want to collaborate for anything. I'll see you in subsequent fun videos. Bye for now.